everybody, Justin Worden. You're watching What's New in Electronics. We are here on the floor at SMTA International in Chicago, Illinois. I got Jim Vaccaro with South Tek Systems. Jim, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing great. The floor is just, there's a vibe, there's an energy.
A little chilly, though.
You know what? I take it, though.
Okay.
You know, I got the jacket on, I got the kit. I mean, look, the lights, they get warm. They get warm.
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
But Jim, let's talk about South Tek Systems. I mean,
okay.
For those watching this and learning about you for the first time, what do you guys specialize in?
So we are a nitrogen generator manufacturer for on-premise nitrogen generation versus buying bulk. We are the most cost-effective solution out there.
Well, let's talk about the nitrogen, because I know this is kind of I don't want to say it's a new trend because people have been using it, but I'm seeing that it's becoming more and more popular where people are investing into the nitrogen installation of their facility. What really is driving that?
So really, it's gaining traction because things are getting smaller. Board architecture getting smaller, and the only way that you can accomplish any kind of soldering process is with an inert environment. Obviously, nitrogen is an inert gas, so we're seeing more and more people signing on to use nitrogen because effectively you couldn't get there with just an oxygen environment.
I mean, I guess that's one of those things, I mean, from my point of view, you don't think about. You know, the board's getting smaller, the components, but we got to talk about the air that is being used in this process.
Correct. Yeah, so the air is, in my simple brain, O2 bad, N2 good. The presence of oxygen in the process is seen as a negative because it actually starts to have voids, inclusions, all the bad things, you know, the existence of dross in the soldering process. A lot of the newer pastes, they actually require nitrogen because they won't flow. The flow characteristics won't be enough to handle these smaller board architectures.
Yeah, and not only are the boards getting smaller, they're getting more complicated in that room for error. I mean, when we talk about what is being used in electronics, I mean, every part of a car, not just an EV,
yep.
A gas-powered car,
yep.
The brakes, the turning signals, everything is now the transmission
yep.
is now being controlled by some sort of electrical component. So the room for error went from a little bit to essentially none. There is no room for error anymore on a lot of these boards that are being produced.
That is correct. Yeah, and that's what you deal with. You know, the rejection rate, you can either deal with it on the front end, in which case you have rework, which requires nitrogen, or you can just deal with it on the front end, insert nitrogen into the process, and your failure rate almost goes to zero.
I imagine that if you have a facility that's been around for a while and it has no nitrogen in it, right? It seems like, just in my brain, and I might be overthinking it, seems like a huge project to come in and fit my building for nitrogen. How do you guys handle that?
So one of the most costly parts of doing a new installation or retrofitting for nitrogen is piping. So if you have a centralized system, the piping costs of getting it from A to B to your equipment can be far outweigh the capital equipment cost. The ability of nitrogen generators, you can relocate them anywhere, you know, close proximity to your equipment that's going to be using it, minimizing, if not eliminating, any kind of piping that's needed. So a decentralized system versus a centralized system.
Interesting. And when you have that, would you use one generator per piece of equipment, or is it one of those things where I guess I can like splice the pipe, I guess?
I am a splice the pipe. Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Sorry,
no, it's all good.
You can use that one.
No, I'm going to write that down. Mental note. No, what you're talking about is decentralization. The fact that you can, you know, I love these. I'm an engineer, so I love the modular and scalability nature of these pieces of equipment. You can do it as small as a nitrogen generator for a single pot selective solder, or you can do, you know, multiple selective solders off of one unit, or you can do individual for each of the pieces of equipment. I'm a fan of decentralized and built-in redundancy. The fact that, you know, if you have a centralized system and you go down, you're done. You're dead in the water. Not to say that ours would go down or anything. That's
no, that would never happen.
Let's strike that. Edit that, please.
Yes.
But if you have that redundancy and a piece of equipment is taken offline for any kind of maintenance, you still are up and operational with the other pieces of equipment. So.
Yeah, and I think that's important because so many people, quality control is obviously a big issue, no room for error, but downtime. We don't want to be down because that's when we really start to lose the money.
You're not making money when you're down.
Yeah. So Jim, for people that are watching this, they want to get a hold of you, what's the best website they can go to?
SouthTekSystems.com.
SouthTekSystems.com. Jim, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.